Welcome into the Awesemo MMA Live Before Lock show. We are sponsored by Prize Picks. We're here for the next hour to break down UFC 269. Hopefully, we're going to take this one down here
Jason.
tonight. Yeah. Of course, as always, I'm joined by the fighter, Pete Rogers Jr. Of course, start lining up those questions in chat. We'll get to those as we do go on. But I do want to get into a super chat we got at the end of the strategy show. We'll get to that here in a moment. But Pete, what I really want to start off is I thought we had a good dialogue on Thursday about Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena. I was going back and listening to the show while I was in the car, and I thought we had a little good back. But yeah, I was thinking about this because Thursday night they had the pre-fight press conference, and Juliana Pena. I mean, look, she's attempting to trash talk Amanda Nunes here. Some of her trash talk, I think, is delusional. Like when you're saying how she elected to fight a Cannon Rousey as opposed to fighting her, I'm like, huh? What? You would not have taken the biggest money fight possible to set up your family for a generation? No, you wouldn't?
Yeah, I mean, look at trash talk is going to happen. And you and I, you said, did she possibly wake up a sleeping giant? And it makes sense as to what's the harm. Why not try to get in the head, play some psychological warfare against Amanda Nunes? You're fighting the greatest of all time. What is the harm in giving it a shot and seeing if it'll have a positive effect for you? Because I don't think many people have gone that route against Amanda. Everybody's been cordial and respectful because she's so skilled. And I think largely because they're intimidated by her. If you can play that, I'm not intimidated by you, that Nate Diaz type of style, does that possibly, work in your favor? Or again, does that bring out the best in Amanda Nunes? So regardless, it's an extremely difficult fight for Juliana Pena, given her history, her, strength of schedule, all that stuff that you're going to get into. But I will tell you, I don't see it, the harm in doing so. She does seem delusional. She does seem somewhat blinded by facts and reality a little bit, but hey, give it a shot. Why not?
And another thing I was thinking about this fight is, I mean, look, we both know there is, if Juliana Pena is going to pull this off, this is by using grappling, getting Amanda on her back. I mean, I could very easily see that part of the thought process for Juliana Pena's team is, we got to get this fight into the 4th and 5th round. We got to wear down Amanda Nunes in these first 15 minutes to put ourselves in the best possible scenario to win the fight. I was thinking about it. I was like, man, like we know the type of fighters that are getting Amanda Nunes ready for this one. But then like Juliana Pena, you can't even compare and contrast it. It's two different worlds on who Juliana Pena is working with as opposed to who Amanda Nunes is working with. And because I was thinking about it as like, the potential top pressure of Juliana Pena in this fight. I mean, Nunes has been working with Kayla Harrison on that, for the past 8 weeks.
Yeah, I would love to see the sparring sessions between Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. I believe that they go a certain way. And if Juliana Pena can get top position, I think that's her best path to victory here because she is good in the clinch. She's really good at getting body lock, trip takedowns, all that stuff, against the fence. When she goes to a single leg or attempts double legs, that's when her neck gets exposed a little bit. And, Jermaine Durandamy really took advantage of that. And if Jermaine can do that, Amanda Nunes can do that even better. And I don't really like Juliana Pena's submission defense because we have seen lapses at times and Shevchenko took advantage of it. Guess what? It's Shevchenko. But Amanda can do the same thing. But there is a blueprint on how to beat Amanda, I guess. I think that she's not the same fighter that she used to be. She's a lot better and much more improved. But if you can really ragdoll her, similar to how Kat Zingano did, that's really the only path to victory I see for Juliana Pena. If Pena ends up on her back, I think it's a wrap. The pressure, the ground and pound, the submissions of Amanda, striking wise, she needs to do her little zombie blitzes of straight punches to really just, pin Amanda against the cage. On the outside, when she was trying to go back and forth with Jermaine Durandamy, she was getting picked apart and she's a sucker for a right hand. Like she really is a sucker for a right hand. That overhand right really sneaks behind her guard, hits her right behind the ear. The uppercuts there all day. I just don't like the striking defense I have seen from Juliana Pena. But I will tell you, for DraftKings, the price is just so cheap that if she can last 2, 3, plus rounds, she could possibly be optimal even in a losing situation. Can she shock the world? We'll have to see. It's been a little bit since Amanda Nunes has been in this weight class, and it's tough to stay on top for a while and always be on your A game. If she can underachieve, if Amanda can underachieve one night and Juliana Pena overachieves, we see upsets happen all the time. And could she shock the world? I mean, Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, tell you what, everybody, I'd probably say 95% of the people at Jackson Wink did not pick Holly Holm to win that fight. And it's just crazy how situations can happen like that and upsets happen. And then hindsight's 2020. We're like, well, you know what? Now we know. Regardless, I can't wait for it. I think for, GPPs, it makes sense, given the salary.
Of course, start lining up those questions. We'll get to those as we go throughout this show. Of course, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to Awesemo right here on YouTube if you are not doing that. And if you're not an Awesemo Plus member and you want to get a little peek at what's behind the paywall, today's free premium data and tools are NFL Week 14 top stacks, NBA player rankings, NHL player projections, and MMA fighter rankings. Pete, before we get into a super chat we got from the strategy show, before we start getting these questions, as I have my sheet in front of me, I did a little color coding right before the show, and I've got 3 colors. I've got fights I'm prioritizing, fights I'm not prioritizing, and low owned options that I am looking at. Let me first off, prioritizing main event. Everyone's going to be prioritizing the main event. For me, also, I think you got to prioritize Kai Kara France versus Cody Garbrandt. Could be a boom bust type situation. This could end up being a firefight between those two guys. Jordan Wright, Bruno Silva, to me, is another one that we have to prioritize. It's also in the boom bust category there. And then when it comes to fights that I'm not prioritizing in terms of GPPs, Pedro Munhoz versus Dominic Cruz, and Miranda Maverick versus Aaron Blanchfield.
Ooh, okay. I like how you're saying prioritizing fights and color coding and seeing which ones are really getting your attention and which aren't. I think that's definitely a way that has been successful for me for, building lineups, is targeting the correct fights and finding fights where you think that there could be a ton of offensive output or fights that could be ending pretty quickly. That's definitely a way to do it. In addition to that, if you go over to awesemo.com on fantasy, using the Fantasy Cruncher tool, you create some groups. You could basically mimic that mindset. So I like what you're saying, Jason. I am a little different than you, though. I really like that Blanchfield Miranda Maverick fight from an underdog standpoint of Aaron Blanchfield. Not too sure if I'm just like buying into the hype or buying into the explosive, amazing debut performance that Blanchfield had, but I think that she has all the skills to back it up as well. Like she's pretty impressive on the feet, solid boxing, has some sneaky, round kick finishes as well, but it's her grappling that I think is going to be the difference maker here. Miranda Maverick, one of the most physical fighters for the division, but Blanchfield, EBI world champ. She's been a black belt, a Renzo Gracie black belt. So I really, really like what I've seen from Blanchfield, and I'm buying into the hype, man. I really am. I think that she can put Maverick in some bad situations where fighters like Jillian Robertson, even Macy Barber had her at times. And I do think that she's skilled enough to walk away with a finish. And it's kind of crazy to say because I'm a big Miranda Maverick backer. This is just a compelling fight for me, and one that I find myself on a little bit more than I initially thought, just given the salaries, given the underdogs on the slate. And, it's a fighter that I'm okay with getting to. So I really like Blanchfield today.
The reason I'm not prioritizing it is it's a fight that I think is going to go 15 minutes. And when we're talking about 14 fights, yes, you made a great case of potentially putting Juliana Pena in the fight if you think she can rack up some points, may still be optimal even in a loss because of that salary. But to me, it's more about a price point situation. I will tell you 2 fighters who are more on the higher end on salaries that I'm looking at potentially getting to here based on what we're seeing in terms of ownership. Jillian Robertson and Josh Emmett. Now, look, I do not feel comfortable about the first fight of the night. There is a clear advantage for Jillian Robertson. There is a clear advantage for Priscilla Cachoeira. For Cachoeira, it is about keeping the fight on the feet and making this a kickboxing matchup. If you tell me Jillian Robertson does not get the fight to the ground, Priscilla is going to win. I do not see Jillian Robertson winning a stand-up fight. However, there's a major weakness on Priscilla here, and that's that takedown defense. And you know that Jillian and her team, it is going to be once the referee says fight, she is going to be looking for that takedown. You know, Jillian as a high price option, someone consider, but there is some volatility there.
Yeah, so extremely volatile fight, low level women's MMA. I think that Jillian Robertson is the more skilled fighter. We talk about it all the time, how the most skilled fighter doesn't always win. It's about, game plans and stylistic matchups. Robertson, if she can, chain together some takedowns, get top position, I like her a lot. Working towards the back, she works towards the back pretty well. And I think that she can possibly expose the weakness there of Priscilla Cachoeira. Look for a rear naked choke and an attempt to finish her. But the ground and pound is interesting too, because we have seen Jillian Robertson at times when her opponents are stubborn. She'll start to chain together some awesome combinations on the ground, putting together some strong ground and pound. I think that Priscilla Cachoeira is coming from a decent gym, not, training with the Figueiredo brothers. I think that's interesting because she should probably have some better jiu-jitsu and take down the fence if she's coming from that gym. So I'm not convinced that Priscilla Cachoeira is all that good. I don't think that I can trust either one of them, but she does have power for the division, and that power can definitely, turn the tide of a fight. We have seen it numerous times on the outside. Jillian Robertson probably will get tagged up by some powerful shots. She needs to clinch her, work towards, taking her down. This could end up going the distance, which is, I think, a little contrarian decision. I think a lot of people, view this fight as it finishing inside the distance, whether Jillian Robertson ends up submitting her or Priscilla Cachoeira, finishes on the feet. But this could possibly get stretched out and test each other's gas tanks. That's like a contrarian take. And that's kind of where I'm building some of my lineups, not all of them, but that's like, how I can get a little bit different is it's just expecting this to go 15 minutes and somewhat avoiding it.
Let me get to Samuel's super chat that happened at the end of the show, right as we signed off there. First off, his over under on finishes, 10.5.
No way. What is this guy doing? I'm about to walk out.
If people can see Tyler's reaction in the background.
Tyler has the same reaction. Sam, what are we doing, buddy? I thought that we're getting better. I mean, I'm about to walk off the show right now.
I would tell you, my number would probably be 8.5.
I still say less.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think that we're going to have some fights.
I think we're somewhere between 7 and 9 fights get stopped.
Okay. Yeah.
I think we're somewhere in that number. He mentioned about the first fight. We just kind of went over in terms of that one's fights in the optimal. Look, I think you got to look at the main event. I think France Garbrandt's another one. Wright Silva is another one. And, here's maybe potentially an oddball fight that ends up the optimal.
Let's hear it.
Randy Costa, Tony Kelley.
So I thought that, right? When we talked about it on the strategy show, I really thought that, because, Randy Costa goes out there, balls to the wall, goes out there, tries to finish you, puts together a hell of a combinations. He likes to throw aggressive hand combinations. And when you start to really circle in one direction or the other, or slip your head offside, that's when he starts to chain that kick, that round kick, the sneaky kick. I feel like this could be a situation where if I'm in Randy Costa's corner, and obviously my coach is Randy Costa, they need him to be a little bit more patient and measured, and the reason they need him to be a little bit more patient and measured is because of the pace. He almost outpaced himself in that first round against Adrian Yanez, and then he had nothing really left in the second and third round and ended up getting finished in the second round. You don't want that to happen at that level in the UFC. You need to not coast, but you need to be at a pretty stable pace so that you can deal with adversity, so that you don't really deteriorate or crumble under pressure. I just think, right, given Tony Kelley's nature, how he tends to go the distance in some of his fights, he does have some submission finishes. Could we see a more mature performance that somewhat disappoints us? That's another contrarian take where initially I'm like, I'm smashing exposure to this, but I have to get different because I feel like it's going to be pretty chalky. Mad people are going to be locking in Amanda Nunes, Sean O'Malley, Bruno Silva. I mean, it's going to be difficult to get different. So this is kind of like how I'm trying to think outside the box.
Two things in terms of this matchup. Are we set an over under number on how many head kicks Randy Costa will throw in the first minute of the fight?
He didn't throw much in that Adrian Yanez fight, and that's what I really thought was going to be the difference maker. He went out there and tried to outbox the boxer.
Yeah,
got away from his strengths.
Second thing is I was taping an interview yesterday with Alon Cruz, who is actually going to be having his first fight since exiting the UFC next Sunday for Fury Fighting Championship. And he talked to me about the fact of Tony Kelley did bring him in to help prepare for Randy Costa. Obviously that the lengthy boxing style that Alon has. So a little bit of insight there in terms of what Tony Kelley has been doing in terms of this fade / punt plays. In terms of me I mentioned Munhoz-Cruz is a fight that I found myself fading in GPPs, not necessarily cash. And the reason I was fading it was just simply because I think it's a fight that's going to go 15 minutes. I think the movement is just going to give Pedro Munhoz a lot of problems. I just don't know. And, even though the price point is nice, whether we're talking about DraftKings or FanDuel, to me, that was a fight that I just didn't want to get to because I just don't see it being a high scoring fight.
I mean, the pricing is amazing, right? Like that's where you could take advantage of a week like this. And you get the 8,200, 8,000 fight correct. Then you get the 8,100, fight correct. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be good for your lineups, and that salary, you don't really have to do much. I agree with you though. I think that largely in Dominic Cruz fashion, he's going to stay on the outside. He's going to frustrate you, make you chase him around, be the matador, make you be the bull. And this is really how I see it happening. Pedro Munhoz, not a slow fighter by any means, but slower than a lot of the elite within this division, and a guy with so much footwork and wrestling in his back pocket. I just think it's a difficult matchup for Pedro Munhoz to deal with. We'll have to see, because Father Time's undefeated, and if Dominic Cruz with all his injuries and getting older, sometimes you're just not as crisp as you used to be, and that footwork and the reaction time is just not the same. I would say that over the past 3 or 4 years, we've seen Dominic Cruz take more shots than he ever did in his, first 15 fights. And that's probably because people are adjusting to his style. Leg kicks could be crucial for Pedro Munhoz, but he's going to have to get close enough to do so. I agree with you. Not a fight I'm prioritizing. If somebody were to finish the fight, you would like to believe it's Pedro Munhoz, catching him when he does commit to a shot coming inside.
Favorite inside the distance, when we're talking about high-end options, to me, Amanda Nunes, Bruno Silva are the ones that stick out to me. If I was going to kind of go lower down, someone like Tai Tuivasa is someone that I'm looking at in terms of GPPs.
It's scary when I'm not comfortable about the heavyweight matchup. And for the most part, we see heavyweight MMA. I like to get exposure to it. Yeah. Tai Tuivasa is that round 1, round 2 type of guy. I just think if he's a little reckless with certain matchups, he will be on the receiving end and can get picked apart. I think the finishing aspect definitely sides with Tai Tuivasa. But Augusto Sakai is a guy I think that could possibly stretch this fight out, be, pretty measured in his approach, stay on the outside. It's a fight that initially I thought I'd get a lot of, Jason, and 8,300, that price range is stupid cheap for heavyweights. Let's call it what it is. Stupid cheap for heavyweights. And if you just want to say, nah, I believe heavyweight MMA doesn't take much, somebody's landing a shot, you could go wrong with either one of these guys. You can't go wrong with either one of them. Tai Tuivasa, 8,300 makes a ton of sense on a 3-fight winning streak of first round KOs, 118, 131, 105, priced at 8,300. Augusto Sakai, on a 2-fight skid. So it could look like he's preying on the weak here, but I think that's a little, I'm not sure that Augusto Sakai is really all that bad. I think it's more matchup dependent.
In terms of underdogs I'm looking at here, when I was looking at that under 7,400, I kept looking at Derek Minner, But I also think that part of that mindset too is, Pete, is believing in the training team that Derek Minner is a part of, and his coach, James Krause. And we talked about this on Thursday. To me, the most interesting thing that James Krause has said leading up to this matchup is how his core philosophy about takedowns is single legs. And he's like, you can't do that against Ryan Hall. I mean, the question ultimately is if Ryan Hall can't get this fight to the ground, can he win a 15-minute decision?
I think he's the better striker. I think he's the better striker than Derek Minner. And I think they both suck standing up. I mean, he tries to do his best Stephen Wonderboy Thompson impression. He throws side kicks, he throws hook kicks, he looks like a knockoff version of Wonderboy, but it's distance management, right? He keeps you on the outside when he doesn't want to initiate. And then when you overcommit, he literally will drop to his back and essentially pull guard in hopes that you got a little too over aggressive and overzealous and take advantage of you being somewhat off balance, manipulate your body, create, space, and isolate a leg. So when he's not Imanari rolling, this guy's jiu-jitsu is just next level, man. And if Derek Minner had more confidence in his striking, I would start to really consider him, because top position alone, I don't think will be enough to win against Ryan Hall. I think that he needs to, punish him on the feet. A guy's going to go back to what he's good at. And Derek Minner seems to be a little stubborn in his ways and saying, I'm going to go back to my grappling. I'm just going to avoid bad positions. Well, yeah, that sounds good until he does a deep half and then isolate your leg. And then next thing you know, in 50-50 position, he's finishing in a heel hook. So I've seen a lot from Ryan Hall when it comes to grappling. It's just a matter of if his chin is tested and healed from that last KO. That's all.
Yeah. In terms of top two cash and GPPs, I mean, look, I really do like Bruno Silva. I really do like Amanda Nunes, but they're the two most expensive fighters on this card. In terms of cash, I would start with Nunes, and then the other one I talked about this on Thursday. I think it's Josh Emmett.
I'm gonna change my tune a little bit for the Josh Emmett. I still think that he's going to walk away victorious. But when I was making my parlay today, I'm trying to avoid any volatile or unknowns. So volatile matchup or unknowns. Like, yeah, I think Cody Garbrandt's going to go out there and, be fine at this weight class lower and chain together takedowns and be the more, bigger, stronger guy. I just don't know how that weight cut's going to affect him. So guess what? I'm going to avoid that. Josh Emmett, dealing with a ton of adversity, ton of injuries, an absence from the cage, fighting a guy who has been active in the cage and being acclimated under the lights is one of the most important things. You know this. Maybe Dan Ige pulling off the upset would really not surprise me, even though I think Josh Emmett is definitely the more dangerous of the two. It's just like, for me, I'd rather go with, I know it sounds like two high priced options, but I like Nunes, Silva, O'Malley. Those seem like cash staples to me. Yeah. And then trying to decide whether you're going to get to Poirier or, Charles Oliveira is definitely the first step, in my opinion, into creating your lineups.
This is the Awesemo MMA live before lock shows. We're getting ready for UFC 269. Of course, lock is at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and we want to get access to all the great tools and data we have over Awesemo.com. You got to sign up for Awesemo Plus Weekly Pass. You get that for $29.95. And if you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, you got to take advantage of the offer we got going on right now, as use the promo code UFC live before lock for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. And if you're just looking for an Awesemo Plus MMA Weekly package, you can get that for $8.95. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. Mention a super chat from CS. He says, gents, I am torn between 90% Nunes or under the field. What is the likelihood that two of other fighters, 8,900 and up, outscore her?
All right, so 8,900 and up. Let me look. So Ryan Hall, I'm probably going to bet Ryan Hall to win via submission. The issue is the Ryan Hall's production isn't always there. It's lackadaisical until an immediate finish. It's not like he's going out there shooting takedowns. So I feel like he could get a finish, but I don't think that he is going to outperform some of these 9,000 options. Randy Costa is interesting. If he takes a little bit more measured approach, does he not score as well because of his aggressive nature early on in his career? O'Malley, I think, is a smash spot today at 9,100. Julian Paiva, very, very tough, very difficult to deal with, especially that power for the division, but think that he's going to be behind. So with all that being said, if let's say 40% of the field's getting to Amanda Nunes, that means that you could get over that and have more combinations with one of the greatest fighters of all time. And if that's what you like to think of it, it's like, okay, well, only 40% of the field got to the GOAT. If I can get to 60, 70, 80, 90%, I'm really liking my chances and increasing the likelihood of me finding that correct combination. It all depends on how many lineups you're playing. I do think it's going to be somewhat chalky today, so I would be careful. It might be split city.
FanDuel cash question coming in: Dan Ige or Tony Kelley?
Ooh, that's a good question, man. That is a good question.
Ooh, man. Dan Ige, the thing you know, and I think this is also kind of like why I like Josh Emmett is the toughness that Dan Ige has and constantly being in there. He can take a lot of punishment. You know, I mentioned the fact of Josh Emmett has scored at least one takedown, or excuse me, one knockdown in each of his last 6 fights. That one kind of sticks out to you. Ooh, man. It's a tough one.
It's a very tough one. Who has the more likelihood of a finish? I would say Tony Kelley, even though Tony Kelley doesn't have the most finishes on his resume. It's a matter of if Randy Costa, you know, outpaces himself again, if he's a shell of himself in rounds 2 or 3, if it goes that long, what happens if Tony Kelley initiates some grappling? We have seen that in the past, not in the UFC, but on the regional scene where he will go for some takedowns sometimes. And his submission skills, I would say, are better than his wrestling. When it's on the feet, he does like to dig to the body. And if he can possibly chip away at Randy Costa, I would like his chances of maybe stealing a decision. With all that being said, it's a slight lean towards Tony Kelley over Danny Ige, just because I think, man, if Emmett say Emmett came in normal, didn't have absences, all that, I'm smashing Josh Emmett in this spot. Like I really would. I think that he's got just his power is different.
Next up, another FanDuel question: Poirier and Kelley or Muniz and Cruz?
I'd go.
If it's a GPP, I would prefer the Poirier and Kelley side. If it's cash, I'd rather go Muniz and Cruz.
I'd probably go the first one just because I want exposure to the main event. I really don't see how, you know, the title fight isn't a part of the optimal lineup, just given the nature of both of those guys, the aggressive nature, the well-rounded skill set. Can they nullify each other in some spots? Sure. But I think the pricing's appropriate. Like I want a ton of exposure to that main event. Jason, we got 500 people checking us out right now. Guys, we appreciate you like crazy. We're happy that you guys enjoy fights, playing DFS. If you could hit that like button, get us up over 125 likes. We'd really appreciate it. Shoot your questions into chat. Jason's got you. And yeah, let's keep it rolling.
Neal or Blanchfield? You talked about how you like Blanchfield in terms of an underdog play. Jeff Neal, Ponzinibbio, I do think is a fight you have to kind of be looking at of going there in terms of that one, just because it's a matchup to me that, God, it's got fight of the night written all over it because of their styles. I'd probably rather get to Jeff Neal in terms of a GPP, but Blanchfield may be a safer play.
That's a damn good question. You guys are sharp, man. I like it. And I was kind of getting to that same situation for some of my lineups. I'm like, all right, which one do I want to get to? And then I said, I'm going to build it where I get to both of them because I can't really decide. But I will say that I really like Erin Blanchfield. I do like her. I like that she could find a finish today, and I think that's a little contrarian take. Naturally, women's MMA tends to get stretched out more than some other fights. So the immediate knee-jerk reaction would say, you know, prioritize the Jeff Neal fight.
Next up, this is a straight up on DraftKings. Bruno Silva or Sean O'Malley?
I like both. I mean, that's like 1A, 1B.
Now, here's the thing. Could we see a situation where O'Malley doesn't stop Pavia, but he lands so much volume over 15 minutes that he outscores a first round stoppage by Silva?
Yeah, because I think Silva can throw 12 punches and get a finish. So, I mean, and if it's not in the first 1 minute, the 12 punches with a first round finish, let's say he just barely gets 100 points. And O'Malley, priced beneath him, throws 200, 150 strikes, similar to the Chris Mutino fight, and ends up getting a late finish. Or let's call it a first round finish with quadruple the production of a Bruno Silva. So I like the savings on Sean O'Malley from an upside standpoint, but from a safe standpoint, I think Bruno Silva is being served a softball matchup today. And Jordan Wright, a guy with tons of finishes on his record, largely due to the incompetence and low-level competition that he fought throughout his career. And I think that's what really boosted his stock. If you even go back to the Dana White's Contender Series, when he gets pressed against Anthony Hernandez and he's against the cage, his striking defense is just absent. And similar to what Joaquin Buckley did to him, I think a guy in Bruno Silva can go out there and replicate that even to a larger degree. So I think that they're both safe bets. It's just a matter of who outscores the other one. I might lean Sean O'Malley, honestly.
Yeah, I was thinking that one there as well. Of course, this show is sponsored by Prize Picks. You got to check out their player prop contest that they have going on over there and use the promo code Awesemo for $100 first match, up to $100 of first match deposit bonus over there at Prize Picks, and get 1 month free of Also Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. You'll receive an email within 24 to 48 hours after you redeem your first month of Also Plus Platinum. And of course, you can use our free player prop tools we have over awesemo.com to help you make the best selections. And Pete, I was looking at there was some interesting lines over there in terms of total strikes. There was two that kind of significant strikes landed that stuck out to me in terms of this one. First off, Josh Emmett, 65.5. I like going more there.
Yeah, same.
In terms of fight time, Tuivasa 9.5. I like the less on that one. I think we get a stoppage with it before the end of the second round.
Okay, well, if you think that, then you need to prioritize that fight, because that fight is just so cheap on DraftKings. I disagree. Respectfully, I think it's going to get stretched out to 15, so I'll say more.
How about Santiago Ponzinibbio, 9 minutes? Give me more. I think that fight hits the third round.
It's a weird one. I think it ends. That's a fair time.
I'll give you another one that this number stuck out to me. Significant strikes landed. Andre Muniz, 24.5.
What do you say, Les?
If it was total strikes, it'd be more. But the thing is, I just feel like he's going to try to get the fight to the ground.
Well, yeah, he is. And if he doesn't, then he's just totally negating his strength. The significant strike versus total strike's interesting. I might agree with you.
Yeah, and of course, you can see there on the screen what you can do over there at Prize Picks. Be sure to check that out for their contest they have over there. Getting our super chat in here from Corey. He says, if Oliveira and Poirier fought 10 times, who would win what? I'm stuck. I have a number in my head. I wonder if my number is in your range. I would say Poirier wins 6 to 7 times.
Yeah, agreed. 6 to 7. I see a lot of people love, I see a lot of people love the champ today, and I don't blame him. He's looked absolutely incredible. Charles Oliveira, to me, is not the best stylistic matchup. Dustin Poirier is a nightmare, in my opinion. He's just so well-rounded. Say that he was fighting some other people that weren't as well-rounded and were somewhat specialist. I think that Charles Oliveira can really expose you there. I like Dustin today a lot. The 6 to 7 out of 10 times makes some sense. But if you have a feeling about it, don't even overthink it. The pricing on Charles Oliveira is just absolutely incredible.
Next up, question from our member chat says, what do you feel like is an appropriate level of exposure to Amanda Nunes in GPPs?
Well, it depends on how many lineups you're playing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on
percentage is percentage, but let's call it 90% of 150 lineups is a lot different than 90% of a 20 max. You know what I mean? Like,
I would, I'm kind of in that 60 to 70%. It just comes down to roster construction in terms of when you have a fighter who's 9,500, what's the rest of your lineup look like? That's more where my mindset is off on that.
mm-hmm. Yeah. And crazy things have happened in MMA. So for Amanda Nunes, right? Let's think about it. Let's pull this up. Okay. In a 5-round decision against Felicia Spencer, she scored 125. That's an awesome score. Jermaine Durand 5-round decision, 158 fantasy points. 5-round decision, split decision over Valentina Shevchenko, one of the best fighters in the world, only scored 79. Juliana Pena is not on Shevchenko's level, but that does not mean that Amanda Nunes is going to go out there and get 150 points just automatically. Stranger things have happened, especially if she doesn't have a good fight camp, good weight cut, all that stuff. She's off even slightly. She could have a lower, productive night.
Yeah.
I don't know though. I would just smash Amanda Nunes and not really overthink it. But a way to get different, just get to Juliana Pena in a couple. That's all I'm saying.
I think also a way to get different is to not put Amanda Nunes in your lineup. But then I think that if your mindset is, okay, I want to get away from Amanda Nunes, what you don't want to see happen, you don't want her to see her go in blitz Pena early, gets a victory in under 60 seconds. So there's that 25-point bonus point. Then it's just going to be a massive score. And then I think you don't want a 5-round dominant decision where basically she's just beating Pena up wherever the fight goes, gets control time. Like someone asked me earlier about labeling out fighters who could pull out some control time. And Amanda Nunes was one of them. I could very well see that she says, I'm going to put Juliana Pena on her butt. And I'm just going to basically say, you can't get up. I think other ones that I look at in terms of control time, Andre Muniz, I think is someone to stick out there in terms of their Julian Robertson, I think, is the other one. You really got to look at if you're looking to rack up some points in terms of that way. I think those are 3 fighters to look at.
For sure. Absolutely. For sure. All in all, I can't wait. I'm going to be trying to watch this while I'm at work. So, send screenshots at the end of the night, share as much as you can.
Hey, bro, I don't gotta be at the stadium until 11:30 tomorrow, so I can actually really enjoy tonight's fights right from my couch. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, hey, sometimes when you can just kick back and just enjoy the fights, it's awesome.
Dude, I sit back on the couch, man, have the beer. I'll have our Discord chat going up and going. But yeah, I'm gonna be enjoying this fight. By the way, I pulled up, because obviously, Amanda Nunes, Juliana Pena's delusional comments about strength of schedule. So I pulled up her strength of schedule of her UFC wins. 18 wins, 24 losses, 1 no contest is the combined UFC record of her wins in the Ultimate Fighting Championship.
Yeah, it looks ugly for Juliana Pena tonight.
Okay,
it does.
So clearly, if you look at her most notable wins, Sarah McMahon, Kat Zingano, Jessica Ai, Nico Montano, who do you think has the best win percentage in the UFC?
God, Kat Zingano.
It is. Kat Zingano went 5-4 in the UFC. Jessica Ai 5-9, 1 no contest. Sarah McMahon is 6-6. Nico Montano was 1-1.
Yeah, I did the Montano. Montano is something I don't even like. Yeah, I block it from my memory. It's just so strange.
Here's the other thing. Everyone brings up Kat Zingano, Man Nunes. It was 7 years ago.
Yeah. Doesn't mean it can't happen again.
I know. Look, but that's all I'm just saying is like when people are talking about the faults of Man Nunes, we're going back 7 years to find those faults.
True. Very true.
Yeah, that's a crazy one to me. Let's hear next up. Will the first fight of the night continue to be optimal? I might lean yes.
What's the percentage it's optimal in your mind?
%30.
Oh, okay. I'm saying no. I think it's going to be weird.
It's just, the problem is you just have clear deficiencies on each side of the fighters.
Mhm.
That's what it's, and I found myself like, I wanted to put some Priscilla in some lineups. I really did. I was just like, oh man, but I just don't know if she can stop a takedown.
I don't think she can stop many of them. I have a strange gut feeling that it's going to get stretched out. But if I wasn't overthinking it, I'd be backing Jillian Robertson en route to a submission victory.
But you have concerns that especially what happens if she can't get the finish in the first, second round, and all of a sudden, third round, she just out of gas, and all of a sudden she can't get the fight to the ground, and Priscilla just starts beating her up on the feet.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? When you're a sitting duck, and Macy Barber did that, and she had her against the cage, and she just teed off on her. But I do think that Jillian Robertson has some really, really sneaky jiu-jitsu. I don't think that's really telling many people anything, but if you want to kind of put it into comparison, she had a grappling competition against Caitlin Chookagian and absolutely schooled Caitlin Chookagian in moments of that and walked away with a victory there. So I think that pound for pound, she has some excellent grappling.
Is Andre Muniz the fighter we're not talking about that we should?
I love Muniz. I mean, I know that Anders is a friend of your show. I like Muniz. I think that he has a grappling route to beat largely everybody in that division. It's just if Anders can sprawl and keep this up on the feet, he is the better striker, even though I feel like Anders isn't present in the moment sometimes. He just I don't know. He's just not coasting, but he's just there. He's not like trying to take charge of the fight sometimes.
It's one of those things of, and I do like the prop bet of Andre Muniz wins by decision. Once it's like plus 350, or I remember looking at that earlier. That one kind of stuck out to me. I mean, look, I really do like the Fight Ready team there. Eric Anders has now been there for a couple of camps now. And when I had him on my show this week, he really talked about it. He says, they've really changed the way I view a fight and talk, and basically essentially saying is having legit game plans, having these plans of, okay, this is plan A. If plan A is not working, this is plan B, and so on and so forth. Like, that was my biggest takeaway from it. Look, I don't think he wants to play jiu-jitsu with Andre Muniz. I think he wants to keep this fight on the feet. But the question is, if Muniz is able to get that takedown, is what can Anders do to get off his butt?
Yeah, that's the thing, is everybody talks about the physicality of Eric Anders and his athleticism and all that stuff. I'll tell you what, jiu-jitsu guys are different, especially if they're on top of you. They are just different. We have somebody in chat asking about a 4-fight parlay, and it's actually my buddy Matt. What's up, Matt? So this is kind of what I'm rolling with, and tell me if you like this, Jason. I like Ryan Hall today. Bruno Silva, chalky. Sean O'Malley, chalky. Taking Dustin Poirier. So that's a 4-fight parlay. And if you want to get a little bit weird, I like adding Aaron Blanchfield to that.
All just on the money line on the fight? Yeah,
just money line. I think that's just the safest way. And then if I wouldn't parlay outcomes too much. You can get away with that. It's just sometimes you're off. Like the bell sounds, the referee stands you up. I'd rather just take outcomes and prop bets individually and not really combine them.
Cody Garbrandt or Tai Tuivasa straight up for GPP. Cody Garbrandt.
I agree. That's crazy to me, though.
Yeah. Is the main a must play? That's a yes to me.
Yeah, same.
Someone mentioned about Wright is so hittable. He is, but look, Jordan Wright is a guy that, he did not fight a high level competition before getting to the UFC, but this is a guy that, if you tell me Jordan Wright goes out there and knocks out Bruno Silva, I wouldn't be shocked. But I do prefer, I definitely want to get the Silva.
You wouldn't be shocked, because I know what you're saying, but you wouldn't be shocked.
It's his path to win the fight.
Yeah, but let's think about the guys that I can't even pull up my stuff. I'm all frazzled right now from what you just said.
Well, I'm glad I can frazzle you.
No, but do you realize the strength of competition Bruno Silva has fought?
Oh, it's a different world. It's
totally different world. And I'm going to look at it right now because I don't have it in front of me, but like Bruno Silva via KO, TKO, I think that's the way it's going to happen. Fighting overseas in M1 global, I think is a very difficult task to do because you're not given easy matchups, right? Like M1 wants the M1 guys to succeed, and knocking out Alexander Shlemenko is ridiculous to me, dude. It is ridiculous. Jordan Wright, you tell me Jordan Wright beats Bruno Silva, but Bruno Silva beat Alexander Shlemenko. I know that's MMA math. My mind would be blown.
It wouldn't be blown to me.
Okay.
Look, I'm not picking Jordan Wright. I think Silva's going to win the fight, but I think if Jordan Wright's going to win, I mean, it is with his hands, no question about it yet. Derek goes, when Tuivasa wins, my wife will be so mad at me when I chug a beer out of my shoe.
Do it, Derek.
All over our new couch.
Do it. Hey, if you guys do, listen. Okay, if you guys do shoeies, like if you're crazy enough to do a shoey, if Tuivasa wins, y'all better tag me and Jason because I want to see it. Like,
so someone on my office hours chat did say at some point there needs to be a Jason Pete bet on a fight and the loser has to do a shoey. I was like, there's no way people do it. There's no way.
I'll be drunk on stream. Like it'll be over. We will be canceled.
Weatherman, I appreciate you in the super chat. He says DK, GPP, Kelley and Minner, or Ige and Cachoeira to finish lineup.
Bro,
so these will be last two in.
Who the last two in? Put the money back in your pocket.
I almost feel like you got to start over, but if you don't want to start over, God, man.
I always feel like you got to start over, he says. I'm with you on that.
You tell me I got to pick a side. Kelley and Minner.
My brain shut off when I heard all four of those options. Yeah, I'll go with Kelley and Minner, I get. No, I'm not going Minner. I'll go the other one.
Tony Kelley or Derek Minner, last man in?
Tony Kelley.
Yeah. Why do you think Minner has no chance against Hall, breaks his leg? I think the reality is like, look, neither one of these guys are great stand-up fighters. But if you're Derek Minner, you don't, even though your wins are coming by submission, you just don't want to play jiu-jitsu with Ryan Hall. You just don't.
That's the thing is top positions. Okay. But not when you're going up against a guy that goes deep half. So getting deep half to isolate a leg, get you off balance to then to work towards a heel hook. I was watching Ryan Hall's grappling matches, like a lot of them, just because I wanted to see how his jiu-jitsu was even more so outside of MMA. And I really just like his entire game. He's just so good. I was watching him against Marcelo Garcia, and it's just, they're just flowing, and he looks so amazing and talented. So I can't really pick Minner today, even though James Krause is one of our favorites.
Of course, we do want to see one of our listeners go into the Awesemo Hall of Fame today. Of course, what you got to be doing is you got to be rocking that Awesemo avatar on your DFS profile. Place the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants. Tweet your wins to @Awesemo HOF. You win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Only one free month can be awarded to a user per calendar year. So congratulations to some of the people that have gone into the Awesemo Hall of Fame over the past couple of days. Mike taking down second place over an NBA, winning $50,000. Also winning first in another contest as well. So congratulations to you. Also, Tron taking down second place in the contest. Also, Bryce taking down second place in a FanDuel contest over there. And congratulations over there to Eddie taking down first place over there in a DraftKings contest as well. So hope to see those screenshots here throughout the night after UFC 269 is in the book. We got a couple minutes here left before we turn things over to the NBA Deeper Dive Show. We'll try to get in as many questions as we possibly can in terms of this one. Favorite captains on FanDuel. Look, everyone knows the popular plays are going to be Nunez and Poirier. If you want to get different, go somewhere else. I did try to get different. Bruno Silva was one I put in there. Here's my crazy captain, Jeff Neal.
I like it. I think it's contrarian. And you're gonna have to get different today, man. Everybody's gonna have to get a little bit different. Try to just get a little weird, leave some salary on the table, and yeah, I can't wait.
Which AK fighter do you think has the best chance of a finish?
Dustin Poirier.
Tuivasa and Emmett, or Neal and O'Malley?
Neal and O'Malley for me.
Best value on FanDuel. That is Jeff Neal for me.
What's his price on FanDuel again?
Jeff Neal is 14.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's 14. Yeah, 16 for
value.
Yes,
right there.
Yeah, $16 for Santiago. Stack the main event. I would not like. I don't win. It's a 14 fight field. I don't want to stack.
I was gonna say, do you think a stack wins it today?
Someone mentioned about a stack of Ige and Emmett.
I thought about that, but if there's,
you need a 15-minute fight.
Yeah, and Emmett really, he has a good volume, man. He really does. That's an interesting stack. Now, could you go cheap with one of the title fights where the Amanda and Juliana-Pena, that would have to get stretched out over 5, but having a fighter in the 6,000 range really opens up everything for your lineups.
Let's see here. Hall not worth the $20 on FanDuel. I mean, look, if he goes out there and gets that submission, he's well worth the $20.
I still feel like Hall's so interesting and he'll get a finish, but I'm not sure he'll score the best. Imagine if he shot takedowns, Jason. He very well could. Mm-hmm. Imagine if he said, instead of getting on my back, I'm going to chain to get, takedowns. If he gets 1 to 2 takedowns, I think that he could have an optimal, score. It's just he's content to allow his opponents to do whatever, and then he takes advantage of their mistakes.
DK Smallfield, Kelley and Minner, or Cachoeira and Cara France?
Cara France, I think, is going to be one of the chalkiest values on the slate, because everybody's going to play the narrative of Cody Garbrandt not having a chin, now cutting more weight, and he has power. So I think the volume, I don't think the speed's going to give Garbrandt a lot of issues. I think the volume of these fighters in this flyweight division can actually provide some problems to Cody Garbrandt, because he didn't really have the best volume in that Rob Font fight.
Jared, if you think James Krause is not a great coach, I don't know what you're watching.
James Krause is amazing.
And I'm telling you what, I talked to a lot of his fighters, and the one thing they all say in the training room, he is as real as they come.
Yeah, it's like,
says, he goes, he will beat you up, but there is no sugarcoating anything.
Yeah.
And and listen to him in corners between rounds. He is as brutally honest as they come.
Yeah. And Jason's going to, whenever I get a fight book, Jason's going to set that up, and I'm going to go out to Glory to go visit. I'm definitely doing that. Yeah.
He's got 18 fighters now in the UFC.
So good. That's so good.
Think about when you're not a major team and you're a quote unquote small team and you got 18 fighters in the UFC.
His gym's beautiful, by the way.
Yeah. They've redone it, and they've got a couple of syndicate gyms throughout there. Thoughts on Poirier by KO TKO bet? I like that one. Try to get a couple other ones here before we get out of here. Muniz puts Anders to sleep. Wouldn't shock me.
I think he does, truthfully.
Yeah. Let's see here. Try to get one more question before we get out of here.
Damn, it's 5:00 already. 4:55.
Yeah. Would you rather go Jordan Wright or Priscilla Cachoeira as a massive
Cachoeira right. For me? I'm not buying into Jordan Wright stuff.
So that is going to do it for us. Of course, NBA Deeper Dive is coming up next. So keep it locked here at awesemo.com. Of course, you got any other questions, you can hit us up in Discord, hit us up on Twitter, wherever it may be. Me and Pete will be around. So that is going to do it for us. Good luck to everyone today. And we will talk to you next week for UFC Strategy Show. Of course, that card's will be headlined by Derek Lewis and Dawkins. That's going to do it for us. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.